You know, one of the most difficult and fruitful things about priesthood is counseling young people, counseling teenagers. Generally speaking, I find most teenagers, they struggle between freedom, having the freedom of doing choices as they near adulthood, and the way that their parents are trying to love them. And so I go through a little mental exercise with them. I normally say, what is the most important possession, the most precious thing you own? Meaning, what is the thing that if your house was burning down and you only had an opportunity to grab one thing, what is that one thing? And some of y'all might be surprised at this, but it's not their cell phone. Their cell phone is probably the thing that they use the most. But the most precious thing to most teenagers these days is a locket from their grandparents, is something that links them to their parents in some ways. It's normally a sign of love. It's a memorial of love. And I asked them, I said, would you give that most precious thing to a 2-year-old child? And they normally answer no. And I ask why? And they say, because I don't want it to get broken. I don't want that thing to be broken. And I say, exactly. You know, the most precious thing that is of your parents is not a locket, or it's not their cell phone, or it's not this thing. The thing that they would go to save before anything else if the house was on fire is you. And they don't want to give you to people that will break you. My brothers and sisters, most pastors dread this weekend. They dread this weekend because, honestly, they don't want to preach against the people who are keeping the lights on. They don't want to preach against the people that are paying the insurance. They don't want to preach against the people that are getting the air conditioning running. I had to do a wedding in Thibodeau yesterday without air conditioning. Trust me, I love air conditioning, and I love the people that support this church so that we can have air conditioning. They don't want to denounce rich people today. And I don't think our gospel is just about denouncing rich people. It's more specific. It's denouncing people who hold their wealth more important than God. And in essence, Jesus today says, if there was one thing in the house that you had to grab if the building was burning down, are you grabbing your wealth or are you grabbing your faith? That is the essence of our gospel today. And we hear that rich young man go away sad because he had many possessions, because he wasn't quite ready to let it go, because it was still more important than God. It was still more important than who was in front of him at that time. A lot of us kind of wish that we would have known Jesus personally. I don't know about you, but I'm a little envious of the apostles and the disciples that actually got to know Jesus in that way, actually while he was here on this earth and in flesh. And yet that's what we do every Sunday. We get to encounter God, and we try to divest ourselves of everything, of all these things that will pass away one day before we do that. That's why we don't just celebrate the Eucharist at the beginning of Mass, but we have things that lead us into it. Because we're all on that journey. We're all on that journey of divesting all of these things that will pass away and grasping at the thing that will last forever. Our faith in Jesus Christ. And so, my brothers and sisters, as we come to the table of the Lord, let us remember that the things that we own, they're only a means to an end. But something that lasts forever is something that we really should be holding on to. Let us come to our Lord humble, begging Him to continue to lead us to the kingdom of heaven.